Man, let me tell you, I can't do those books on tape. Nah, not my jam. People try to make it sound all interesting with the voices and the up and down talking. It makes me want to crawl out of my skin because I'm thinking, this guy thinks I'm a friggin' idiot, you know? Like they're reading it like, and then in 1862, read it like a bailiff, man. You know the deal? I remember one time this bailiff read this thing, said the arresting officer asked the defendant where he was coming from, and he stated, in Boston. And I was like, whoa, hold on. That's not how I said it. I was hammered trying to remember. He asked where I came from. And I was like, eh, fuck it, Boston. And the cop goes, fucking Boston? You want to get out of the car? I wasn't a jerk, though. I was standing there. All these people who mug folks were laughing like, this guy's sticking it to the man. So then he's like, we pulled the defendant over, repeatedly asked him to stay in the car. He got out, threw his keys at my feet, and said, lock me up. I'm fucked up. It was hilarious, right? Remember that dude who'd take his shot, and whenever anyone puked, he'd stand in the corner facing the wall. We called him Blair Witch. Everyone got there eventually, so I'm crying, laughing, gagging as I tell the story, and my girl's like, where do they find these people? That sent me over the edge, man. Just crying, laughing. But God bless him, because the reason that thing's screaming is because it's biting its own back. Which honestly sounds like me trying to touch my toes every morning, you know? Anyway, where do we go from there? I don't know, maybe you get eaten by a bear. And if a bear gets a hold of a regular neck just complies, just gives right up. Heck, you should call your neck special regular neck. I guarantee no one's going to accidentally steal that title. Speaking of weirdos, there was this dude on a construction site, wore the same jeans every day, no underwear, and a giant hole in the thigh. I swear I'm working in the house and he steps over something. The hole moves and bam, full-on junk flash right in my face. I didn't know how to confront people back then, and I was the new guy, so I just wanted to be like, buddy, maybe throw on some boxers so I don't gotta stare at your dangly bits. Especially since he's walking around with a nail gun. Boxers might not stop a nail, but any extra layer of clothing would be nice, you know? He was just letting it all hang out like an owl looking out of a tree, and it's burned into my brain. I could pick his junk out of a lineup, and all those people paying to be there. That guy's making bank, man. I want to see someone scalping tickets to see his junk. He does Vegas, too, at the T-Mobile Arena. I want to see a picture of him up there, eyes open, smiling and everything. It's crazy the money he's making. I used to say he's so full of it, he can't look at the crowd like his eyes are checking. Are they still here, still believe in this beat? When you're lying, eye contact's the toughest thing ever, but whatever, he's making people feel good. He's in show business. I want to see the show, though. The few times I did movies, everyone was like, you just missed it, man. It all ended in '05. They were like, oh my God, they were paying for John Travolta's jet fuel. He'd show up in his own 747 to do one of those Wild Hogs movies, and they'd be like, okay, John, gotta pay for the plane. And they're like, oh, John, like it's just understood. It goes without saying, if someone swipes your credit card number, that's their money now, right? Then they call you up and say, hey, Joe, did you buy a ham hock at Vancouver at a strip club? And you're like, what? No, I was in Burbank. And they say, good luck with that. Has anyone ever bought a ham hock in a strip club? Man, you've given me every piece of the elk except that I've got some ham hock for you. What do you fantasize about doing to the credit card thief, though? Oh, just running, just getting the heck away. I don't want to hurt him. The guy's hurt by life, so damaged. I just want to get gone. I always picture those scammer folks, and I have a giant roll of duct tape, and I just put it on their mouth like a cartoon, not like Speed, more like cartoon level. I put it on their mouth and go, and the last one comes up and over their head, the rest of the roll hanging down awkwardly, and I just go back to eating, and they got to sit there and slowly peel it off. The only way I could get through that basketball game was if I already told my wife the guy annoyed me, and then I'd just egg him on. Why doesn't he play him? And she'd start kicking me under the table because she was laughing. Hey everyone, I'm Ivanka Trump. She's like Tracy Lord's sister in the 80s, got good-looking kids, amazing. She's good-looking too, good for him, good for him. And if Bill Clinton wants to vaguely look in the direction of a beautiful woman, that's his right, you know? Man, growing up in the sticks, we had this dog, Biscuit, dumber than a box of hair, right? Would chase his tail till he puked, then lick it up. That kind of stupid. Reminds me of trying to sleep these days. Got this fancy-ass pillow, cost more than my first car. And I'm still up at 3 a.m. counting imaginary sheep that are all doing the Macarena. Speaking of sheep, saw this dude the other day slumped over in public, sawing logs louder than a chainsaw convention, and I'm thinking, that son of a biscuit eater is getting better sleep than I've had in a decade. So naturally, my brain goes into full-on prank mode, like when me and my cousin Billy Bob tried to convince Mrs. Henderson that her cat could talk. Yeah, story. It involved a walkie-talkie and a very confused meow. And I'm plotting how to give this Sleeping Beauty a little wake-up call. I know, nothing mean, Just a touch of country justice. I'm thinking, let's get a spotlight on him, real subtle. Like he's about to get abducted by aliens, or maybe sing him a lullaby, but like a death metal lullaby. Then my buddy Joe's over there, bless his heart, trying to figure out the light switches like he's defusing a bomb, and I'm over here praying nobody pulls a fast one, because Lord knows there's always one character who's about to pickpocket somebody. And I wanted to bust out the dang police lights, but, you know, the front rows get all defensive, and I didn't want him to try and leave. I mean, this guy was out cold. I'm hollering his name like I'm summoning a demon, Miguel, La Policia, and nothing. Not a twitch, which leads me to believe one of two things. Either he's a professional napper who could sleep through a hurricane, or he's actually dead, and I'm about to become a suspect in the most bizarre murder case since that time my Uncle Earl tried to poison a squirrel with moonshine. Maybe I should just leave him there, let him wake up and deal with the mystery like a modern-day Rip Van Winkle, only instead of a beard, he's got a serious case of drool. All right, y'all, let me tell you something about them early hustles. Before the spotlight found this Louisiana boy. Reminds me of my Uncle Dale. Bless his heart, thought he could train squirrels to water ski. Spent 6 months in a whole lot of pecans, ended up with squirrels that just knew how to drown fancy. Speaking of drowning, remember working at this Office Max, right? They wanted me to greet folks like I was selling salvation. Welcome to Office Max. How can I help you? Take it to the max. Sounded like something them televangelists say before they ask you to donate your social security check. Couldn't do it. Felt like I was lying to folks. I was better at Aviation Joint, where my grandma worked. And I remember going out with a girl from work who was proud of her promiscuous ways. Then I did some time vacuuming, but in a weird way where I threw dirt in front of people and then vacuumed it up. After that, I tracked shipments for sperm clinics like a FedEx for baby juice, making sure that precious cargo arrived on time, like Santa Claus, but with more bodily fluids. I even drove a dog van that one time, Dumb and Dumber style, wrestling rich folks' yappy chihuahuas into that metal death trap. Then there was waiting tables where folks recognized me from Comic View, asking if I was the one on the show. Was you on Comic View? They'd be like, bread in the wing or leg in the thigh. That job eventually got me punched in the face and knocked unconscious, but hey, at least I got a free hamburger out of it. Oh, and lifeguarding and selling sneakers. And, well, it's all in my book, Life Lessons, which nobody's read. Go get it and then check out my other book on Audible, because who has time to read anymore? Kevin here's got promo at Edis, bless his heart, can't stop hustling his Jumanji 2 tapes. And that's the damn truth, y'all. Truth, like a possum playing dead in the middle of I-10. Gotta swerve to miss it. And maybe that possum knows something we don't. Maybe he's on to something big, like a new way to monetize possum roadkill. Now there's an idea. All right, so I went down to pick up my boomsticks, right? 2 of them. Kind of like that time me and Earl tried to catch a greased pig at the county fair. Only way more mowers. Had a shotgun too, but busted it the first day. Bless its heart. Thought I was getting that ka-chunk model, the one like in them westerns, but the fella done sold me the punt. Like a disappointed fart, you know? So I get there. This dude Kevin looks like a librarian who wrestled gators in his spare time. Tells me, Theo, brother, can't give you your pew-pews. I'm like, say what now, Kevin? He drops the bombshell. Paperwork's all jacked up. Bills in your wife's name. Trucks in the company's name. You're a ghost, son. Now, I started cackling like a hyena at a Tupperware party because all I could think was, damn, the system actually works. Felt safer knowing I couldn't get my hands on those things than if he just handed them over like candy corn at Halloween. Told him straight up, Kevin, this is beautiful, like seeing a squirrel water ski, but he just stared at me dead serious and said, oh, you're getting your damn guns. Suddenly felt like I was eating grits with a fork. Something just ain't right. Turns out Kevin, bless his heart, had a workaround. Called up my lovely bride. Told her to print out a blank lease. Write that I was renting a broom closet from her. Fax it over. And bam, problem solved. She about died laughing, said the place was booked solid with her imaginary yoga instructors. But she sent it anyway. Gotta love that woman. Got my guns. Love him like a stray dog. Loves a belly rub. See a gun in a movie. I'm calling Kevin faster than you can say sweet tea. Like when I off-Y, Agent Smith rocking that Desert Eagle. I had to have it. Kevin said California ain't playing that 50 caliber game, but he'd hook me up with a 40 and a workaround, bless his soul, and then tried to upsell me on an AR-15. Now, I ain't saying I'm irresponsible, but I did lose my Glock in the shower for 9 days. Felt like I'd lost a tooth or something. My wife, bless her heart, heard AR-15 and came storming in like a honey badger on bath salts yelling, "Is that some bitch trying to sell you another one of them killing machines?" I told Kevin I ain't gonna be part of the problem. I'm gonna be the dang solution. No more lost guns, no more scared kids, just my Desert Eagle and a shotgun. She says that's the man I married, like I just cured cancer or something. Kevin asks if he's on speaker and then proceeds to tell me in the event of an apocalypse, an AR-15 is the only way to protect my family. Like, Civ 6 are gonna give a dang about my southern charm. I couldn't help myself, I swear. I asked if he could get one with a bump stock. My wife promptly canceled my lease faster than a catfish can swallow a cricket. Guess I'll be sleeping in the doghouse with old Blue tonight. Growing up back in the holler, we had this old hound dog. Blue, dumber than a box of rocks soaked in moonshine, I swear. The dog thought a vacuum cleaner was the devil himself. Would bark at it till he passed out, bless his heart. Reminded me of my Aunt Tammy trying to work a smartphone. Just pure, unadulterated panic. But Blue, he had this one trick. See a squirrel, he'd chase it right up a tree, then just sit there wagging his tail, barking at the branches like he was waiting on a winning lottery ticket. Which brings me to this fella, Craig. Met him at the bank. Not a teller, not security, just loitering. Like a scarecrow forgot its job. I said, "How you doing?" out of southern politeness, you know, the kind Granny drilled into you for she hit the hard stuff. And this dude, Craig, launches into a dissertation on his upcoming trip to Virginia like I'm his damn travel agent or something. Turns out he's visiting his sister after 15 years. Never been before. I'm thinking, buddy, you got more baggage than a Kardashian going to a yard sale, and he just drones on monuments and whatnot, and I'm trapped, man, like a possum in a parking lot, wanting to scream, "I just want to deposit this check so I can buy more jerky, leave me be." But he's got me cornered, this social vampire, and he actually says, "I'll be here when you walk out." Like it's a threat, not a promise, and that's when it hit me, this whole "how you doing" thing. It's a social contract, a gentle dance, not an invitation to your therapy session. You got to keep it light, people, like a firefly on a summer night. Fine or great is all you need. Anything else is like showing up to a potluck with a plate of roadkill. Just ain't right. So next time somebody asks, remember Craig and keep it brief. Unless, of course, you want to unleash the hounds of hell on an unsuspecting stranger, then by all means tell him about your bunions. Man, growing up in Tickfall, Louisiana, we only saw All Blacks on TV, like when Jason Momoa shows up at my gym, right? And he's all, "Theo, you look different on TV, like a fat piece of..." Well, you know, but then we hung out for 12 hours. Most genuine dude ever. Way more authentic than my own podcast partner, Brett. Like, I swear, Jason and I, we're practically blood brothers now, you know? Anyway, never thought I'd do stand-up in South America. Figured I'd be wrestling gators till I croaked. But Buenos Aires, Argentina blew my mind. Ate like a king the steak. Oh, Lord have mercy. Then Chile was amazing. Lima, Peru, saw some family, good folks. In Mexico City, spicy tacos and sweet people. Flew home, catnap, then bam. 40-day European tour. That's like being shot out of a cannon made of schnitzel. Madrid, Barcelona, Copenhagen, Paris, London, Birmingham, Glasgow. Felt like I was on a dang space shuttle made of baguettes and bangers, and ended up in Iceland. Ice fire comedy, like a Viking funeral for my voice box, you know? And Tom, working for Tom is like finding a 4-leaf clover in a field of cow pies. I tell you, the man gets it. Treat your people right, they'll work their tails off. He's got a nose for good folks, surrounds himself with them, trusts them, creates this whole environment where nobody wants to let him down, you know, like a mama bird nudging her chicks. Meeting Tom 14 years ago changed my life more than grits, changed my arteries. He's unconditionally supportive. Best year of my life. Love you, Tom. Feels like he took a chance on me, like finding a 20 in your old jeans, and I can't imagine touring with anyone else. Speaking of, there's Mike Cronin, opens for Tom 4 times this year, probably doesn't remember me, always staring at his phone, but he's proud of Tom, thinks he's a good person, asks for more money. Classic Mike. And then there's Sam, driving for Tom, been thinking long and hard, says he can't say anything good about the man. Reminds me of my Uncle Earl after too much moonshine, says he's mean. Even when he's nice, he's mean, says they work 7 days a week. No time off, hasn't seen his family in 4 years. Then he blows his nose real loud. Gotta do it again. For a then serious face, says Tom's a good guy, pleasure to work for, easygoing. But here's the kicker, folks. Sam says Tom isn't funny, which is like saying a dog can't bark. And you know what? Maybe that's the secret. Surround yourself with funny folks and let them shine like fireflies in a mason jar. And maybe, just maybe, you'll get to eat steak in Argentina and laugh your way to Iceland, because life, like a good joke, is all about the setup and the punchline. And sometimes the punchline is just realizing you're surrounded by good people, even if one of them blows his nose really loud. Shoot, during COVID, felt like trying to smuggle moonshine past a pack of bloodhounds just to get to Chelsea, Canada. You know, Chelsea's where the snow bunnies live, not that dang town in Massachusetts, although I hear they got good clam chowder, but I needed to carve some powder. See, Canada was tighter than a tick on a hound dog, folks. We're building walls higher than my Uncle Earl still. But then I saw Kevin on the gram prancing back and forth across that border like he owned the place. Thanksgiving dinner in Arkansas one day, maple syrup in Ontario the next. And this was during the 2-week quarantine, which, let me tell you, 2 weeks with my thoughts is like being trapped in a room with a rabid squirrel. So I called Kevin, bless his heart, and I said, Kev, I don't know if you're smuggling beavers or what, but I need your help. This lady needs her double blacks. And Kevin, he's got that smooth talk like a used car salesman in July. He says, Chelsea, sugar, no problem. I'll get you a gig on my movie. Behind the camera, in front. Heck, I'd play a moose if I had to. Just get me across that line. He promised paperwork, help, everything. Kept saying, I got you, Chelsea, I got you, I got you. And that's Kevin in a nutshell, ain't it? You ask Kevin for a favor, you get 3 I got yous faster than a hummingbird flaps its wings. And then you hear from him less than you hear from a dial-up modem these days. It's like waiting for rain in a drought. So we're honoring Kevin tonight, folks. A man who'd deny a privileged lady a ski trip during a global freakout. Makes you think maybe he's secretly saving the world one denied powder day at a time. Or maybe he just forgot, like he forgot to return my lawnmower 5 years ago. Either way, bless his heart. Man, back in Shreveport, we had this drinking crew, real deal redneck poetry slam. You know, me, Mark, Sam, and this dude Soder, who looked like if a scarecrow and a golden retriever had a baby. And then there was Nate, bless his heart. Nate could only book gigs at this place near Broadway, like the armpit of the New York comedy scene. They call it the world, like a Walmart greeter directing you to enlightenment. And he'd be doing unpaid sets at 11 p.m. while they're charging cover. This is like prehistoric comedy days, like finding a fossilized microphone. And this is before Soder was selling out stadiums. Wild, right? Anyway, the world was basically the Broadway comedy club's ugly stepsister. Like they'd be advertising Dave Chappelle's here tonight, knowing full well Dave was probably at home eating a gourmet grilled cheese. And one time I swear they tried to pitch me Tina Fey was going to do stand-up. Like, who are you trying to fool? You think she just ditches 30 Rock for this? And the mural on the wall was like a fever dream painted by someone on Bad Shrimp. But the real kicker, they served fake alcohol, like the kind made from corn syrup they sell near schools, because they don't have a real liquor license. It's like trying to get drunk off communion wine, which, thinking about it, is probably worse. And it was 12% strength. You know, order a vodka tonic and you're basically getting a grape soda with a buzz. I even got spat on at that joint, like full-on loogie warfare. I was roasting this dude in the front row. Felt like I was talking to a donkey, and he just lets loose right on my chest. But bless those sassy Hispanic waitresses. They jumped in front of me like I was El Chapo. They were ready to throw down. And Chris Murphy, the man's a saint. He walked me out like I was fragile, said he's waiting for you, pal. And the first threesome I ever had was a direct result of getting spat on, though. 2 girls in Philly saw what happened, said, screw that guy. Come on, let's go drink. So we went out drinking, had a threesome. The details aren't fit for conversation, but you get the idea. It was a different kind of spitting story, let's just say. And my cousin, he's a simple guy. He says, you left with those 2 chicks? I said, yeah. And he says, I gotta start getting spat on more often. That's when you know you had a good night. You know, when even getting assaulted turns into a win. Like finding a $20 bill in your old jeans, only it's covered in saliva and questionable life choices. All right. So I was down in Tickfaw, Louisiana, visiting my uncle Earl, bless his heart. He's got this rooster named Clarence that thinks he's a dang opera singer, just screaming at the moon all night long, kept me up more than a possum in a laundromat. But anyway, Earl's watching Law and Order, and he's yelling at the TV. They're always stealing stories out of the newspaper, dang varmints. And it got me thinking, like, that one time on SVU, they did that whole sex addiction thing, right? I remember when all them Hollywood types were coming clean, like a bunch of sinners at a revival meeting. So Ice-T, bless his icy soul, he's trying to figure it out, like, explaining the internet to a squirrel, and finally it clicks, bam, close up on iced tea, and he's all, oh, I get it. You mean like when someone drinks too much moonshine or snorts that white stuff or bets the farm on them crawfish races? And I'm thinking, yeah, iced tea, you got it, partner. But dang it, I could have watched a whole dang marathon of just iced tea giving examples, just him sitting there deadpan, like, or when someone chews too much tobacco, or like when someone buys too many porcelain dolls from QVC. Or like when someone spends all day polishing their truck, or like when someone hoards too many ketchup packets from McDonald's, you know? Just going on and on, Fade to Black, created by Dick Wolf. Like that's what addiction is, right? It's just iced tea listing examples until the sun dies. Anyway, that reminds me of this time I saw a raccoon try to steal a whole bag of powdered donuts from a picnic table. He looked like he was going to explode, and I realized, man, sometimes we're all just raccoons, and those donuts is whatever thing we can't stop chasing in life, so cheers to the donuts, you know? All right, so I was back home in Louisiana last week, right? And my cousin Earl, bless his heart, he's got this whole thing about wasps. Like he's convinced they're government drones or something. So he's out there with a badminton racket swinging like he's playing Wimbledon against the deep state. And he says to me, he goes, Theo, you got to get wasp spray. It's the ultimate defense. Now, Earl's a good dude, but he also believes Bigfoot's running a meth lab in the Washington National Forest, so I take his advice with a grain of that pink Himalayan salt, you know, the kind that rich folks think makes their water taste better, but it's really just salt anyway. This whole wasp spray thing, it reminds me of that time I saw a dude try to rob a convenience store with a rubber chicken, thought he was being all sneaky, but the cashier just started laughing. Point is, some things just ain't gonna work, like Earl's wasp killing strategy or trying to pay your taxes with monopoly money. See, that's how this whole sex offender situation is. People think, oh, I'll just blast them with wasp spray, that'll teach him. But hold on there, Skippy, that stuff's for wasps, and even then, Earl ain't had much luck. Plus, you're gonna end up in court with some lawyer charges by the nanosecond, arguing about whether you were defending yourself or just trying to reenact a scene from Honey, I Shrunk the Kid. Pepper spray. That's the real deal. It's like the difference between a rusty butter knife and a ninja sword. One's going to get the job done. The other's going to leave you looking like a fool and about taking care of business yourself. That's like trying to fix your own car engine after watching one YouTube video. You might think you know what you're doing, but you're probably just going to make things worse. Wear gloves, a mask. That's smart. Like wearing a condom to a disco. You're prepared for anything. And this whole shake weight thing, I mean, come on. That's like bringing a spork to a steakhouse. It ain't going to cut it. Semen's a biohazard. Yeah, that'll get someone's attention, like telling a vegetarian he's about to eat a plate of bacon-wrapped scallops, but honestly, do your thing in your own space, just not in front of the ladies and children. It's like playing the banjo naked on a trampoline, fun for you maybe, but not a sight for anyone else to see, but don't be ridiculous or anything. I tell you what, a few weeks back, my email got ransacked at like a trailer park after a tornado, but it had this weird silver lining, you know? It was one of them deals where they crack into your digital mailbox and start slinging spam links to everybody you ever even side-eyed in your address book. So basically, I became a digital typhoid Mary, spreading a rash of weirdness to all my contacts, which honestly was kind of like killing two birds with one stone because I'm terrible at keeping up with folks. I'm like a hermit crab with a smartphone. Consider it my Christmas card for the year, a digital thinking of you with a hint of identity theft. And then, bless their cotton socks, everybody emailed back to tell me I'd been hacked. It was like a digital baby shower, folks, crawling out of the woodwork to send their well wishes and warnings. Email viruses, man, they bring folks together in ways you wouldn't believe, like a potluck after a hurricane. Now, get this, one fella I know, bless his heart, emails me back saying, I quote, hey, clicked on the link you sent. Don't want to buy any herbal Viagra. Dead serious, this ain't no comedian. I've known him 17 years. He's dumber than a box of hair. That's the long and short of it. So a few things tickled me about this whole shebang. First off, who in the name of Dale Earnhardt still clicks on spam links? And this link, mind you, looked like it was cooked up in a meth lab, dollar signs and swastikas, like HPV wrote a website. He gets this in a blank email and thinks, yep, that's the ticket. Clicks on it with gusto and then gets whisked away to a website selling this herbal Viagra. And his first thought is, Theo's getting into the snake oil business. But you know what kind of stung my biscuit? The thought that he figured that's how I'd hawk herbal Viagra, like I'm some kind of backwoods huckster just dropping links in blank emails with the subject line, check this out, which, by the way, ain't never been said by me in my entire life. If I was going to spam everybody I ever met about some shady new hustle, I'd pen a damn novel of an intro letter first. Dear friends and family, comedy didn't pan out. Turns out folks ain't paying to hear about my childhood in rural Louisiana. But have you ever hankered for some Viagra? but feared the side effects of the non-herbal kinda. Well, me and my Cayman Islands business partners got the remedy. Click on the swastika below and be whisked away to the world's ugliest website. Hope you can read pink on purple, because that's the layout we chose. Thank you, and may the Lord be with you. That's how I roll. Ain't no half-stepping. And speaking of time, I crossed the 30-year mark recently, which changes how you watch movies, you know? When I was a rugrat watching action flicks, I'd identify with the hero, the fella trying to save the day. Now, I only relate to the side characters, the ones rolling their eyes in the corner like the dudes who'd have to deal with Spider-Man's dry cleaning. That's where I'm at now. You know who my hero was growing up? Michael J. Fox's Marty McFly in Back to the Future. Love that dude. Want to be him. But I watched that movie again recently, and Marty McFly is a 17-year-old high school student. His best friend is a disgraced nuclear physicist. And I swear to God, they never explained how they became friends. And we were all just cool with it. Nobody batted an eye. We were just like, who's his best friend? A disgraced nuclear physicist? Okay, yeah, proceed. Yep, that checks out. Proceed with the movie. Back to the Future is a classic, no doubt, but it's a downright bizarre movie. I'm telling you. Imagine the pitch meeting. Two fellas strolling into a movie studio saying, okay, we got an idea for the next big family action movie. It's about a fella named Marty. He's a high school student. Real lazy. Always sleeping late. The studio guys are like, okay, is he cool like Ferris Bueller? And the writers are like, nah, but he's got a best friend. Yeah? Who's that? Oh, just a disgraced nuclear physicist. I'm sorry, is this another student? Oh, no. This other guy's like 40 or 80. We ain't sure how old he's supposed to be. Anyway, so one day, the boy and the scientist, they build a time machine. Whoa. Okay, I see where this is going. Let me guess. They build a time machine and go back in time and stop the Kennedy assassination. Oh, no. It's a real good idea. We didn't even think of that. Okay, well, what do they do with the time machine? Well, now I'm embarrassed to say. All right, here goes nothing. We thought it'd be fun if the boy, went back in time and tried to make moves on his own mama. So we thought that'd be a hoot. And then, oh yeah, no, but don't worry, he doesn't actually get to Netflix and chill with his mom because this family friend named Biff shows up and tries to have his way with her in front of the son. And then the dad, he has to defend her honor. And we're also going to say that a white man wrote Johnny B. Good. So we're going to take that away from them too, just for kicks. Well, this sounds like a fantastic movie. We are definitely going to make this. Now, you say they go to the past. You want to call it Back to the Past? No. Back to the Future. Right, but they go to the past. Yeah. But it's like, what? The sweet tea is going on. Well, hey there, folks. Let me tell you, a couple weeks back, my email got hacked, which honestly felt like getting invited to a fancy party because I'm terrible at keeping in touch. So suddenly sending a spam link to everyone I know felt like my civic duty, my annual Christmas card, if you will. And bless their hearts, they all wrote back like I just birthed triplets, all screaming, didn't know your cyber uterus is bleeding viruses. Brought us closer than a Tupperware party after a tornado. And then this one fella, bless his simple soul, emails me, says, Theo, buddy, clicked your link, but I ain't in the market for no herbal Viagra. And this ain't no comedian, folks. This is pure unadulterated West Virginia logic after 17 years of friendship. And it got me thinking, first off, who in God's green earth still clicks a spam link that looks like a $sign, had a baby with a swastika, and named it malware? I'm talking if HPB was a website, this was it. But no, he saw that blank email, subject line, reading, check this out, which, let's be honest, I ain't ever uttered in my life, and thought, all right, Theo's peddling snake oil, which is insulting because if I was going to shill herbal Viagra to my entire contact list, it wouldn't be a 2-column email blast. I'd craft a goddamn novel, something like Dear Friends, Famlin, folks I met at that all-night Waffle House in '09, Comedy's Gone South, and my Cayman Island business partners, and I have concocted a miracle cure for bedroom blues. Click the swastika for the world's ugliest website, pink on purple, just how we like it. See, gotta sell the dream, you know. Anyway, turned 30 recently, watching movies different now. Used to root for the hero, now I'm vibing with the side characters, the ones rolling their eyes like, oh great, another Spider-Man, feeling like I'm watching a squirrel try to parallel park. Reminds me of Michael J. Fox in Back to the Future. That was my jam. Wanted to be Marty McFly, but watched that movie again. And it's wild, this 17-year-old kid's best friend is a disgraced nuclear physicist, and nobody bats an eye. We're all just like, yup, checks out, like seeing a cat driving a track. That movie is bananas. Imagine pitching that in a studio, like, all right, family action movie, lazy high school kid, sleeps in, but get this, his best friend's a disgraced nuclear physicist. No, not a student, a 40-year-old weirdo, and the studio execs nod. Okay, okay, they build a time machine, stop the Kennedy assassination, and you gotta swallow your pride, say, nah man, he goes back in time, tries to hook up with his mom, watch their faces, but don't worry, Biff shows up, tries to assault her, dad saves the day, and we're saying a white guy wrote Johnny B. Good, and some head green like that. That's Hollywood, folks, like a raccoon running a bank. Only in America they ask if it's Back to the Past, but you gotta stick to your guns. No, Back to the Future, 'cause only in a movie can you have a disgraced nuclear physicist and a horny time-traveling teenager in the same frame. It's like a fever dream in a can, like putting ketchup on grits, just plain wrong but undeniably entertaining. And people ask me if I smoke marijuana. I tell I don't need another reason to crave Cheetos. I already crave Cheetos like a dog chases a mail truck. You ever see a dude hit on a girl by yelling at her through a crowd? Hey, you with the tits, move it, losers. I'm Gretos. That's the world we live in, folks. A world where disgraced nuclear physicists are best friends with horny teenagers and Greg yells at women from across the room. Bless their hearts. All right, folks. Let me tell you something. Growing up in Possum Trot, Tennessee, population smaller than a Walmart on a Tuesday night, we didn't have no fancy math groups. No Blue Angels flying high. We just had smart kids and the rest of y'all. And I was definitely hanging out with the rest of y'all. Probably eating a moon pie and trying to figure out why the sky was blue, which, is a deeper question than any algebra equation. I swear it makes you think about stuff like how we're all just dust particles floating in the cosmos, kind of like those folks on Law & Order, always finding dead bodies in New York, which I gotta say I love that show, especially the one where the dude is unloading crates while the detectives are asking him about a triple homicide. Like, sir, your neighbor's been murdered and his cats are missing. And he's like, yeah, Tony Ramirez, Tuesday's box of bananas. I tell you, that reminds me of my Uncle Billy, who wouldn't stop whittling even when a tornado was coming. Said he had a wood spirit to appease anyway. Law and Order's just comfort food. Same story every time, like them Dollar General cookies that are always a little stale, but somehow you still eat them. And then there's Jerry Orbach, Lenny Briscoe himself. That guy was a legend. I miss him more than I miss my Aunt Mildred's potato salad at Thanksgiving, which, let me tell you, was a culinary crime against humanity, bless her heart. Jerry was the best. Always had that dry wit like a good shot of moonshine on a cold night. And then he went and died. And get this, they gave his eyeballs to two different New Yorkers. Two different people walking around with Jerry Orbach, looking out at the world. Imagine the pressure. I mean, what if one of them starts making those little wisecracks at crime scenes like, looks like someone didn't pass their final exam. That'd be something. Or maybe they both fall in love. Like some kind of bizarre rom-com. Love at first sight. New York. Two strangers meet, who only share a pair of deceased detectives' eyes. He likes football, she likes stocks, but then they stumble upon a dead body and at the same time they both just blurt out, well, class dismissed, as they gaze into each other's Jerry Orbach-y eyes. All right, settle down, y'all. Good to be here, feeling good, feeling real good. Almost 30, which, it's a number, a big old juicy number. Feels like yesterday I was chasing fireflies in the Louisiana swamp. Bare feet, covered in mud, thinking quicksand was going to be the death of me. Seriously, you watch those cartoons, it's right up there with anvils falling from the sky and sticks of dynamite. I was more worried about quicksand than taxes. And now, never even seen it. Nobody calling me up saying, Theo, take the back roads, quicksand swallowed. It's like, where'd it go? Like my hairline vanished into the ether, but back then, the real threat, the thing that kept me up at night wasn't sinking in sand. It was people thinking I was Chinese. Let me tell you, this bowl cut and these squinty eyes, they screamed Kung Fu Kid louder than Bruce Lee on a karaoke night. Kids be calling me names, slurs I ain't even gonna repeat. Words I didn't even understand. I'm standing there like a confused possum in a headlight, 'cause I ain't Chinese. My family's about as Chinese as grits and gravy. The closest we get to Asia is taking our shoes off at the door, mostly just to keep the carpet clean after Mama's crawfish boil. But it was rough. It was real rough. I remember in 7th grade we went to the symphony, and every time that big old gong went off, these savage little swamp creatures, they'd turn around and bow at me like I was some kind of emperor with a bad haircut. It was racist as hell, but also I gotta give him credit. The coordination was impressive. For a bunch of 13-year-olds fueled by Mountain Dew and Spite, it was a whole dang performance. Made me feel like I was in some twisted, low-budget racist Cirque du Soleil. But that's the past. We all say dumb stuff. I mean, look at TV. You can say anything on TV these days, especially on Law & Order SVU. They can't say the F word, but they can describe a crime scene with enough detail to make your stomach churn. Anal contusions, this, cement and fecal matter in the ear canal, that, and it's always Ice-T delivering the line. Ice-T, cop killer looking confused as ever, like he just walked in off the set of Colors. You mean this dude likes pigtails? Yeah, Ice, it's a pedophile. Welcome to the sex crimes unit. Grab a donut and try to keep up. It's like that time they tried to explain sex addiction to him. They're really trying, and Ice-T finally gets it. He's looking all serious, and he says, "Oh, I get it. You mean like when someone drinks too much or snorts cocaine or bets the house on the ponies?" I almost choked on my water. I was praying they just let him keep going. Just name every vice he could think of. Or like when someone eats too much fried chicken, or watches too much reality TV, or collects porcelain dolls. Just fade out. Created by Dick Wolf. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of TV I want to see. So yeah, almost 30. Seen something, called some names, dodged the quicksand. Maybe it's time to start collecting porcelain dolls. Or maybe just keep watching Ice-T solve crimes. Either way, it's going to be one hell of a ride. Just try not to bet the house on the ponies, you know. All right. Settle down now, you beautiful bunch of weirdos. Let me tell you something. Growing up in Louisiana, we had this neighbor, Mr. Thibodeau. God rest his soul. Looked like a thumb with eyebrows, I swear. This man, he only ate mayonnaise sandwiches every single day. Mayonnaise. Just mayonnaise. I asked him once, "Mr. Thibodeau, why are you living like this? You're a human being, not a condiment factory." He just smiled, this little thumb man, and said, "Theo, boy, you got to simplify. Life's complicated enough. Don't be adding no jelly to the equation." And that stuck with me like kudzu on a rusted out Ford pickup, you know? Simplify. Which brings you to, well, everything really. See, people are out here complexifying everything. Take data privacy, for instance. Seems simple, right? Keep your stuff safe. Don't let the lizard people in Silicon Valley sell your grocery list to the Russians. But no, it's all algorithms and encryption and GDPR. Sounds like a disease you get from kissing a swamp creature. It's like they took Mr. Thibodeau's mayonnaise sandwich and turned it into a 7-course meal with foam and microgreens. Nobody even knows what they're eating anymore. So we got these companies, it's collecting all this information. Every time you like a cat video, every time you Google how to remove a tick, they're tracking it, building a profile. It's like they're trying to build a perfect replica of your brain, but with more ads for foot fungus cream. And they say, "Oh, it's for a better user experience." Sure it is, just like when your grandma says she's pinching your cheeks because she loves you, but, you know, she's just checking to see if you got enough meat on your bones. And then there's the government. They want to get in on the action, too, keeping us safe from terrorists, ninjas, the Amish mafia. Who knows? But the point is, everybody wants your data, and nobody's asking if you even want to share it. That's like showing up at a potluck with only a Tupperware full of your dirty laundry. Nobody asked for that, Brenda. So what do? Do we just throw our hands up and say, "Fine, take my soul"?
Amazon.
So I'm already wearing your underwear anyway. No, that ain't the Cajun way. We got to be like that gator in the bayou, looking all slow and sleepy, but ready to snap your hand off if you get too close. We got to demand transparency, know what they're collecting, how they're using it, and have the right to say, "Hold up, partner, that's my brain you're messing with. And it ain't got nothing you need unless you're looking for directions to the nearest crawfish boil." Because at the end of the day, your data is your data, just like your mayonnaise sandwich is your mayonnaise sandwich. Unless Mr. Thibodeau comes along and asks for a bite, then you just got to share because he might be a thumb with eyebrows, but he's still your neighbor, and that's just how we do these in Louisiana. Man, I remember growing up back in Louisiana, we had this neighbor, Cletus. Bless his heart. He thought he was a professional frog giggler. I swear, wore camo overalls every bend day, even to church, which, you know, kind of makes sense because you're already halfway dressed for baptism, right? Anyway, Cletus was always going on about the greatest fears of frogs, like they were sitting around a lily pad confessional booth, spilling their guts. And that's kind of how this whole thing started. See, I was doing this special, right, with like 15 kids, little ankle biters between 8 and 13. And I thought it'd be hilarious to write jokes from their perspective, like if a bunch of mini-Maz were suddenly dropped into my life running around quoting Mitch Hedberg and trying to bum cigarettes, but my pal America Sawyer, who used to sling jokes at SNL, she was all about getting real, you know, asking the hard questions, the kind of stuff that keeps you up at night, like is mayonnaise an instrument? Or why does the alphabet have to be in that order? So we figured, let's ask these kids what they're afraid of, expecting the usual boogeyman, maybe a rogue Tickle Me Elmo incident. But then, bam, they're talking about stuff way beyond their years, like climate change, societal collapse, and the existential dread of choosing the wrong TikTok filter, which, honestly, I understand. That shit's terrifying. I swear it was like eavesdropping on a tiny philosopher's convention. Suddenly, Cletus's frog fear theories didn't seem so far-fetched. One kid even said he was afraid of running out of V-Bucks. I swear to God, I almost choked on my LaCroix. It was like, these kids ain't scared of no tarantula. They're worried about digital apocalypses and the impending doom of dial-up internet coming back, which, I gotta admit, that's a legit fear. But then you see them all dressed up in their little suits and gowns at the premiere, demanding black tie like they're running the damn Met Gala, and you realize they're still kids, just with slightly more sophisticated anxieties. And then of course there's the Alanis Morissette cover, You Oughta Know, but just the appropriate parts, which, yeah, maybe my mistake for not realizing those parts might not be the best choice for a child to say, or that time when I was asking him to fill in the blank. America has a lot of work, and this kid, little Alex Bello, without missing a beat, says work to do, and you're like, damn, even the kids are woke now. I ain't got no kids myself, never wanted them, and I even had a whole conversation with these kids about it, explaining how I love my free time and my wife. And then the next day, my wife shows up on set, and this one girl, Camille, bless her heart, turns to me and asks, dead serious, does your wife know you don't want kids? And I'm like, well, shit, maybe Cletus was right. Sometimes the scariest monsters are the ones you ain't expecting. All right, folks, so there was this dude, right? Always late. Like, consistently late. You know, the kind of late that makes you think he's got a side hustle as a time traveler messing with the Cretaceous period. And we'd be on his case. Even when he was pushing 40, he'd blame the traffic, which, come on, traffic's just God's way of saying slow down, enjoy the scenery, maybe find a possum to befriend. But nah, this fellow was traffic's nemesis, always battling the asphalt demons. And it got me thinking, it's tough asking someone to admit their flaws. Like, imagine my funeral, all sunshine and rainbows. Not a single mention of my rotten prince tendencies, which, let's be honest, I could be a real dillweed sometimes. Not intentionally, mind you, but like a puppy with a chainsaw, all enthusiasm and accidental carnage. And you're probably thinking, Theo, were you secretly mad when I called you out? Nah, man, I appreciate the honesty, like a good back scratch on a sunburn. It hurts so good. And I know, sometimes I was holding in a full-blown toddler tantrum during the show, but hey, sleep deprivation's a torture method for a reason. It turns you into a grumpy raccoon hoarding shiny objects. And I gotta give it to you, you had this zen-like ability to just chill, even when I was being a grade A knucklehead, which made me wonder, were other folks mad at me too? It's the not knowing that kills you, like being stuck in a room full of mannequins. Are they judging me? Are they planning a revolt? Who the heck knows? But that restraint, that poker face, it's a superpower, useful for business negotiations, or poker, which, let's be real, I'd be terrible at. I'd be like a toddler playing with dynamite. All clueless enthusiasm, showing my hand with every goofy grin. But my dad, bless his heart, gave me the best advice for dealing with those situations. He said, son, if you don't like what someone's saying, just shut your trap, let them talk. Then absolute silence, and they'll crack like a walnut under a sledgehammer. They'll start backpedaling, offering you the moon just to break the tension. Because people hate silence more than they hate Brussels sprouts. It's a powerful weapon, that silence. And I realized, days, that's what he did to us kids when we wanted to watch R-rated movies. Can I see Rambo? Silence. Are you still there? Uh-huh. More silence. And boom, bedtime foiled again. So when my time comes, I want my eulogy to be real. Flaws and all, someone gotta say, Theo loved life. He really did. Like a Labrador with a tennis ball. Pure unadulterated joy. And sure, I'm speaking in the past tense, but hey, I'm still kicking. Thanks for that, by the way. And if I was at your funeral, the thing I'd say, well, that's the next question, ain't it? It reminds me, you said, like, folks is happy for my success because you know it's deserved and because I'm a good guy, and I was always so supportive of others, especially at SNL, and you said I had impeccable comedy taste, which is kind. You think all this time at gas stations and backwoods bars gave me tape. You said my kind words are gracious, and boy, my life's been richer since I met you, and you recommended me for that writing job, which means I owe you for changing my life. Like Werner Herzog said, I don't know if people change each other's lives, but you made my life better. It's like being a comedian picking up rocks on the ground, and you said, do you want to go to the moon? And I love every conversation we have, but the last question, it's ever seen a ghost? I ain't seen no ghost. Maybe I should start asking that at parties. Picture this, a high school kid at a dance. All awkward angles and nervous energy, sidles up to a girl, stares intensely and whispers, you ever seen a ghost? Is that what girls want to hear? Would that be enough to seal the deal? Cut to them making out. That's a romantic comedy right there. No, I'm normally at a rando table, and I ask and find out a dead person whose soul or spirit is ghoulish and haunting, which is a terrible icebreaker. And I say, how is everyone you ever seen a ghost? And folks think it's me and I'm the ghost they say you have now, and it's all weird like that. So maybe that's the end, and we should end with the cast of Sneakers again like we got it right this time, or wait for it, the sequel. All right, folks. So growing up in Louisiana, right, we had this one neighbor, Cletus, real character, always wore a coonskin cap. Even in July, looked like Daniel Boone went bankrupt. Started selling fireworks out of his trailer. Anyway, Cletus was convinced aliens were stealing his garden gnomes. Like every week, another gnome gone, vanished, and he'd blame it on them dang space critters. Now, I ain't saying Cletus was wrong, but he also thought Mountain Dew was a health food, so, you know, grain of salt. And it reminds me of these new Nazis popping up, acting like they just discovered hating folks. See, back in my day, Nazi was just something your mom called you when you wouldn't clean your room. Like, Theo, you're being a real Nazi about these Legos, not some actual belief system. These new ones, though, they got this whole thing about Jews ruining everything. And I'm like, hold on a dang minute. My wife, Anna, she's Jewish. I married into this thing. I got the official decoder ring. I know the truth. And let me tell you, blaming the Jews for everything is like blaming Cletus's missing gnomes on the aliens. Maybe check the raccoons first, you know. Speaking of Anna, I was telling her the other day, I said, honey, we've been hitched for like 3.5 years now. You cool if I still crack jokes about you on stage? And she just shrugs and says, yeah, go ahead. Just don't say I'm a bitch and you don't like me. I almost choked on my sweet tea. The bar is so low. It's practically underground. I mean, that's it. That's the limit. A show about how I hate my wife would be a damn disaster. It'd be like a men's support group hosted by John Voight and Alec Baldwin. Yikes. No thanks. Truth is, Anna is a bitch. A dynamite 5-foot Jewish bitch, and I love her to death. We're polar opposites. She walks around like she's immune to opinions, doesn't give a hoot what anyone thinks. It's beautiful. I, on the other hand, need everyone to like me all the time. It's exhausting. She says being with me is like dating a mayor running for the Mayor of Nothing award. We went to Best Buy the other day to get a TV. Didn't even get the TV. I was too worried the sales guy would be mad. So I bought an HDMI cable just to smooth things over. Anna's standing there, stone-faced. The guy asks if I have a Best Buy rewards card. I say no, but I wish, and she just walks off full-on Blair Witch style, disappears into the laser printer aisle. I'm left standing there like a dang fool. The guy tries again, want a rewards card. I say no, even though I just implied it's my greatest desire, 'cause I'm picturing telling him I'm trapped in a loveless marriage with little Miss Jesus Christ, who won't let me achieve my true potential. So one day I'm gonna leave her and finally get that dang rewards card, and she's all like, Jesus Christ, Theo, you're never getting that rewards card. See, that's the Catholic versus Jewish thing. I was raised Catholic, she was raised Jewish, two different worlds. We were talking about it the other day, not about kids though, because we ain't having those, everyone always asks. And I'm like, I don't know, never is a long time. 14 years ago, I smoked cocaine the night before college graduation. Now I'm afraid to get a flu shot, so who knows what tomorrow will bring. Maybe I'll finally get that Best Buy rewards card after all. All right, folks, so I was down in Loringer, Louisiana, right? Place so small, the Walmart's got a drive-through window for your prescriptions and maybe some crawfish etouffee. Anyway, my buddy Dale, bless his heart, he's trying to name his kid, and he's stuck. He wants something unique, something that'll make his kid stand out. I said, Dale, you name that kid Refrigerator, he's going to stand out. All right, stand out in the principal's office every dang day. But it got me thinking about names. See, like, how important is a name, really? This whole Emmy thing reminds me of it. This comedian, John Mulaney, right, wins an Emmy, which is like winning the Super Bowl for people who tell jokes instead of throwing balls, in some website deadline, they mess up his name. They call him Jew Open like he's a new medication for toe fungus or something. Reminds me of my aunt, Shirley. She's got every ailment known to man. She'd try anything with Jew in the name. Now, I know John, I've known him for a bit, and I can vouch he's a Mulaney, single L, folks. Messing up a name. It's like mispronouncing someone's gumbo recipe. It's just wrong, you know? And then they get another detail wrong. It's like adding pineapple to a chili. It just shouldn't happen. Like calling someone Mulvaney, it just feels wrong. Feels like something the New York Post would yell out with big, bold letters right next to an expose of my big throbbing vein. It's almost like stealing a moment, right? John wins this Emmy, big deal. Then someone proposes. That's like ordering the only steak in a restaurant. Then when it comes out, they put a dang onion ring on it. I just hope John doesn't feel like some crawfish that just barely got pulled out the pot when the fire went out. Now I'm no expert on names. Hell, my own mama probably regrets what she named me, but I know a Mulaney when I see one. Sounds kind of like a brand of artisanal soap you buy in Brooklyn, to be honest. And messing up Mulaney, that's just Loranger level ignorance, and that's saying something. What is it with those coastal elites messing with people's name? I bet they think a boudin ball is a fancy dessert. Hey. Man, college, right? I swear, I just got a letter from my alma mater. Felt like Christmas morning, kind of, you know, until I opened that sucker up. Said, hey, Theo, remember us. We're the reason you're in debt. Just kidding, mostly. Then they hit me with this line, and I'm paraphrasing here because I threw the damn thing in the trash after, but it was basically, hey, cough up some dough. We want a gift, but, only if it jingles. Now, I'm no mathematician, but back when I was slurping ramen in that glorified daycare, I was forking over about 15 grand a semester, twice a year for 4 years. Do the math, folks. That's like 120,000 clams. I practically bought the damn library. So, excuse my French, but are you telling me that after I essentially funded a small African nation's GDP with my tuition, you got the audacity, the sheer nerve to ask for more? What is this, a hostage situation? I feel like I'm dealing with my cousin Gary. Gary showed up to Thanksgiving wearing a wife beater asking for $20 for gas, even though his car's been up on blocks in the yard since the I-2K.
Where's that money even go, college?
Did you build a solid gold statue of the dean? Is there a secret underground bowling alley I never knew about? I bet it all went into those stupid study abroad programs where kids go to Italy and take pictures of pizza. Meanwhile, I'm eating ketchup packets in the library, trying to decipher Shakespeare with a hangover the size of Louisiana. I got buddies, they're all, Theo, be a good alum. Donate. They even wear the college t-shirt like they're still trying to impress their RA. Look, if you're a grown man still sending money to your old college, that's like still paying your ex-girlfriend's rent. She ain't coming back, buddy. You're just enabling her kombucha habit. That college, that's a $120,000 hooker, and you fell in love with her. In the letter, they were all like, it's been a while since you donated. I felt like firing back. It's been a while since you housed and educated me. I thought we had a deal. I gave you my money. You gave me a piece of paper and a crippling sense of inadequacy, but they gave me this cinder block room, smelled like stale beer and regret, covered in a Reservoir Dogs poster, and the first real heartbreak of my life, and probably HPV. And that's it. That's the ROI? Man, what even is college? Seriously, somebody tell me, because I went and I still ain't got a clue. I was 18, looked like a thumb with hair, living like a ninja turtle on a diet of cigarettes, Adderall and Natty Light. It was a 4-year-long game show. Do my friends hate me, or do I just need to sleep? But instead of winning money, you just lose a fortune. And the kicker? I agreed to this deal when I was 17, no lawyer present, wearing sweatpants with pizza sauce on the knee. That's gotta be illegal, right? They tricked me like Brendan Dassey on Making a Murderer. Pulled me out of high school, 2 guys in clip-on ties like, come on, son, do the right thing, sign here, you'll be an English major. And I fell for it. An English major. 120 grand so some professor could tell me to read Jane Austen, and then I didn't. Y'all can laugh, but that's the worst financial decision I ever made, and I once bought a used jet ski from a guy named Bubba who claimed it was slightly haunted. Man, growing up in Louisiana, we had this neighbor, Mr. Thibodeau, smelled perpetually like boiled crawfish and regret. Always wore a wife beater 3 sizes too small. The kind that showed off his pecs, if you could call them that. More like deflated whoopee cushions. And he was obsessed with this one thing, figuring out which character he was in the Dukes of Hazzard. Like, was he Bo Luke, maybe even Roscoe P. Coltrane chasing those boys down, right? And they got me thinking, see, now folks are at home binge watching these Real Housewives shows. Like my buddy Mulaney here, bless his heart, he's deep into the New York chapter. And he's trying to figure out where he'd fit in, what kind of drama he'd stir up, but it's like, nobody on those shows ever apologizes, It's like, if I told Seth here he looked like a scarecrow stuffed with dryer lint, showed to events like a lovesick golden retriever, he's going to be hot. And I'd just be like, hey, let's put this behind us, you feel me, we good? And give him one of those shoulder hugs where you barely make contact. That's how them housewives do it, and it's wild, because they're all so aware they're on TV. Like back in 2009, they'd be filming near like 1st and 70th, and they'd be arguing, right? And one lady'd be all, I don't want to share that. And the other ones be like, girl, we're on a reality show. Spill the sweet tea. And they got skinny girl margarita signs everywhere because they're all marketing themselves like performing monkeys in a tiny hat, which is kind of genius, right? Because you got to respect the hustle, but it also makes you wonder what parts of their lives are real and what parts are just a performance for the camera. You know, like, is that genuine outrage or is it just them practicing their Emmy Award acceptance speech in the mirror? Because either way, it's getting views and making money. So maybe Mr. Thibodeau was right. Maybe we're all just characters in somebody else's reality show, just trying to figure out our lines and hoping we don't get canceled or worse, become a meme, which at least he never smelled like boiled crawfish most. All right. Settle down, y'all. Let me mail you something. Grew up in this town, see, smaller than a gnat's patootie, where the biggest excitement was when the Dollar General got a new shipment of off-brand cheese puffs. My mama, bless her heart, she used to say I had the social skills of a feral cat, which fair enough because I preferred hanging with the stray dogs down by the creek trying to teach them Shakespeare because, you know, even mutts deserve a little culture. One time I swear I saw Old Blue hound dog with one ear missing. I swear he almost understood Hamlet's soliloquy, or maybe he just wanted a biscuit. Hard to tell with dogs. They're kind of like politicians, always looking for something. But see, that's how I always been. Connecting dots that ain't even close to each other, like trying to make a gourmet meal out of roadkill and ketchup packets, which, by the way, I actually tried once, don't recommend it. Anyway, all that to say, folks are always asking, Theo, how do you do it? How do you find the funny in everyday life? And I tell them it's like finding a four-leaf clover in a cow pasture. You gotta wade through a whole lot of crap first. Which brings me to this thing about, like, people feeling disconnected. Like they're wandering through life wearing, socks with sandals, just completely missing the mark, you know? See, we're all just searching for something, a connection, a purpose, maybe just a decent Wi-Fi signal, but we get so caught up in the noise, the Instagram filters and the political arguments that sound like two squirrels fighting over a walnut. We forget to look around and see the actual real deal beauty, the goofy, imperfect, beautifully flawed human connections all around us. And we're so caught up in trying to be somebody else. Some Instagram influencer with a butt the size of a small car and a life that's probably as fake as a $3 bill, that we miss out on the chance to be ourselves, warts and all. Because let me tell you something, those warts, those flaws, those weird quirks that make you, you are the things that people actually connect with. That's the four-leaf clover. That's the good stuff. That's what makes life worth living. Even if you are wearing socks with sandals. And maybe, just maybe, especially if you are, because hey, at least you're comfortable. And that's more than most people can say. And at the end of the day, ain't that what it's all about? Being comfortable in your own skin. Even if it's covered in mosquito bites and smells faintly of fertilizer. Just own it. Be you. Be weird. Be wonderful. And for the love of Pete, stop taking selfies with duck faces. Nobody wants to see that, unless you're actually a duck. Then go wild, quack it up, baby. Quack it up. Man, let me tell you, back in Tickfall, Louisiana, we had this fella, Cletus, thought he was a dang rooster, crowed every morning at 4 a.m. sharp, woke up the whole dang town. But seeing these old photos reminded me of something equally bizarre, you know? Like here I am looking all young and spry with Simon Rich and America Ferrera, writing these dirty sketches for SNL. Practically living in that writer's room, fueled by stale coffee and desperation. It was like wrangling a greased pig at a church picnic. I swear Seth Meyers would pop his head in like a curious raccoon, peeking into your trash can. Then he'd give us that, no look. You know, that polite but soul-crushing disapproval only a head writer can deliver. We even cooked up a Thanksgiving card with a picture of us, looking all festive and innocent, said Happy Thanksgiving Seth on the front. Then you open it up and it just says we each other. Real classy stuff, reminded me of the time I tried to teach my hound dog Blue to play poker. Didn't work out too well, he kept eating the chips. Anyway, seeing that drag brunch sketch written by this comedic genius named James Anderson. Funniest dude I ever met. No offense to Cletus the rooster. This guy was a goddamn comedy savant. He'd waltz into the rewrite room oblivious to what we'd been slaving over for hours, and drop some truth bomb joke that was funnier than everything we had combined. Pure funny bones. I tell ya, like he was hooked up to some divine comedic mainframe, just spouting perpsies and comedic gold. Being in that sketch wearing heels on concrete felt like walking on hot coals after a Sunday service at the Pentecostal church. Shout out to the costume department though, they worked them heels low and stable, they judged based. So there's no tears in the hips cause as a modern comedian I can't be falling. Gave me a whole new appreciation for drag queens. And for finally just saying come on, let's get a cab even if Uber's 4 minutes away. Made me feel like a calf just took its first dang steps. All wobbly and disoriented. And Diner Lops, that sketch was like a fever dream. I had after eating too many crawfish etouffee back in Louisiana. Wrote it in college when I was the head of writing. Imagine that, me, a responsible adultish human, leading a room full of writers. Who'd have thought it, but I was like, nah, I'm saving it, like holding on to a winning lottery ticket. Waiting for the right moment. The host was supposed to be Galifianakis, but man, Keenan took that and elevated it. And Les Mis as a child. Oh lordy, I was in. It had drama, love, death, all the good stuff. And we turned it into a lobster's lemon, how could you not? But now, people keep mistaking me for the Flash and I ain't saying I look like him, but they keep going. Oh, like, they halfway seeing it like I'm some kind of superhero disguised as a simple country comedian. But I ain't the Flash, I swear. I was at the dog park with my mutt. And this kid straight out of Central Casting comes up with that flash accent. And his grandma. She's giving me the stink eye. Like I'm betraying her grandson's superhero fantasies. Then some fella comes up, says he's a fan of my stand-up right at that moment. Just perfect timing. And the grandma's face drops. Pure disgust, it was like watching a souffle deflate. She shook her head like I was a fraud. No, you are not the Flash, like I'd personally stolen Christmas. So I get home, tell my wife Anna, this whole saga, and she just looks about deadpan and says, so let me get this straight. Your two problems are that a fan said he likes your work, and that people think you look like a 25-year-old handsome actor. Who, by the way, you don't look like women, man, they always cut straight to the heart of the matter. Makes you wonder if she's secretly the Flash too, or maybe even Cletus the rooster in disguise. Crowing at me in the morning with a different kind of, oh.
All right, folks, let me tell you something. Reminds me of my cousin Billy Bob, bless his heart, used to catch catfish with his bare hands down at the bayou, slick as all it could promise. And one time he reels in this monster, this flathead looking like it swallowed a bowling ball. And Billy Bob, he just stares at it, eyes wide as saucers, and says, why ain't you just something? Which is exactly what I thought when I saw this study, right? About how social media, that dang thing, is making us lonely like a hound dog on a chain. They say folks compare themselves to these Instagram models, these perfectly filtered lives, thinking everyone's living in a damn magazine, which is bullcrap. Because I'm pretty sure half of them are using so much Photoshop they look like aliens trying to pass as humans at a Walmart convention. And it's making them feel bad like they ain't good enough, which is a dang shame. Because everyone's got something special, like my Aunt Mildred's potato salad. Looks like roadkill but tastes like heaven, so they're feeling left out, disconnected, like a landline in a cell phone world, and spending all their time online, looking for likes, instead of actually talking to folks face to face, real human connection, like a hug from your grandma after a long day of shoveling manure. And it's a vicious cycle, a hamster wheel of sadness, where you just keep running and running but never get anywhere, never find true happiness. Which, let's be honest, is probably just a warm plate of cornbread and a good dog anyway. So what I'm saying is, put down your phone, folks. Go outside, talk to a neighbor, pet a stray cat, maybe even learn to catch catfish with your bare hand. 'Cause life's too short to spend it chasing digital ghosts. And besides, that catfish might just teach you a thing or two about resilience, or at least give you a good story to tell next time you're standing in line at the Piggly Wiggly, trying not to compare your groceries to Miss Henderson's organic kale, which, let's face it, ain't never gonna happen, 'cause I am a simple man, and I like my Mountain Dew. Just don't be like my Uncle Dale, who thought the internet was a series of tubes, God rest his soul. All right, so check this out. Reminds me of my cousin Billy Ray, bless his heart, used to say just turned sweet 16 about his prize-winning hog at the county fair. Now Billy Ray, he wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed. Kind of like this fella right here, mentioning the girl's age, like it's a limited time offer at Arby's, which brings me to this whole age thing in life, how everyone's always got an expiration date slapped on him, especially in this business. You get past 30 and suddenly you're antique furniture. Got to dust yourself off before every gig. Like I was talking to my buddy Earl the other day. Earl swears he's Benjamin Buttoning. Getting younger every year, says he started using this snake oil from a traveling salesman. Smells like old gym socks and regret, but Earl, he's convinced it's the fountain of youth, which is probably what this young fella thinks he's got with the fresh out the oven girlfriend. Forgetting that life's a microwave, and sooner or later, everything gets reheated and ends up tasting kinda rubbery, just like Earl's snake oil. Promise, honestly, probably most of our dating lives. All ending up with us wondering if maybe we should have just stuck with the hog at the county fair. Least then you know what you're getting. You know, maybe just stick with the mac and cheese and avoid the trouble altogether.
All right. On the way. What up? Lad up. Let me tell you something. I was driving here from the airport, right? And I saw this bumper sticker, keep the country, country. And I thought, damn, that's like me trying to keep Theo, you know? Like, good luck with that, buddy. I'm a runaway train of weirdness, always have been. Reminds me of my Uncle Dale back in Louisiana, bless his heart. That man thought he was a squirrel, like a metaphorical squirrel, like legit burying nuts in the backyard, chattering at dogs. We tried to tell him, Uncle Dale, you're a 6'2" plumber, not a rodent. But he'd just stare at you, twitch his nose, and scamper up a pecan tree. Now, hear me out. This ain't about squirrels, although maybe it is. It's about locals, right? Like, what is a local anyway? Is it about birth certificates? Is it about speaking pidgin so good you can order a shave ice blindfolded? Or is it about something deeper, like having the mana, the aloha spirit, the thing that makes you not want to punch a tourist in the face when they ask you where they can find the authentic Hawaiian experience? See, I think it's kind of like my Uncle Dale. He wasn't born a squirrel, but damn it, he became one. He embodied the squirrelness, you know? He lived a squirrel life, and maybe, just maybe, that's what being a local is all about. You don't got to be born here, but you got to become Hawaii. You got to respect the land, the people, the culture, the pineapples that allegedly make your jizz taste like sunshine. And if you can do that, if you can embrace the weirdness, the beauty, the keep the country vibe, so, well, then you just might earn your place in the Ohana, even if you still can't pronounce Helma Hamuna Kunuko Pua. And if you can't, well, just blame it on the Micronesians. They'll understand. I'm just kidding. Micronesians, I love y'all. You're the reason I'm not the most hated guy on the island. That's a precious, precious gift. Thank you, Jesus.